There we are. So good morning, everybody. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I trust everybody's had a chance to go over the agenda to see if there are any errors, omission. Can I have a recommendation, please? That I have a recommendation that the agenda for the Police Services Board meeting of April 29th, 2021 be accepted as presented. Could I have a Mike? And second? Correct. And it is that the agenda for the Police Services Board meeting of April 29th be accepted and presented. All those in favor, obviously. Okay. There are no declarations of interest, presentations, or delegations. Moving on to the minutes. Could I have a motion on the minutes, please? Moved by Mike, seconded by Brett. It's recommended that the Police Services Board minutes be dated March 25th, 2021 be accepted as presented, and all in favor. It's kind of tough with only three of us. Anything under communications, petitions? No? Well, let's move on then to the police service report for March. And who will be doing that?
Good morning, everybody. Josh Kingsley here. I'm with Nancy Graves. Just want to introduce for you as well, our regional commander, Chief Superintendent Carl Thomas is on the meeting. So thank you, sir, for joining us.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Josh.
Morning.
Morning, sir.
I'll present the March report for the board here. So if we go to page 1, you'll notice our violent crimes. Our sexual assaults year to date for March are down 66.7%, as are our assaults. So overall, in the month of March, we've had a 33% reduction in violent crimes in the town, which is very good. Year to date, we're standing at about the same. So we've had 17 violent crimes reported year to date. So we've had a 0% change, but for the month of March, we've seen a reduction. So we're hoping that trend continues. When we go down to property crimes, our theft unders have gone down from 5 to 1. So we've seen an 80% reduction in theft under 5,000. Our frauds have gone up by 1, but we do tend to see an increase in frauds this time of year with our Canada Revenue Agency frauds. So we are cognizant of that and keeping an eye on that. And our mischiefs have gone down by 1. So overall, for the month of March, we've seen a 25% reduction in property crimes. And in year to date, we've seen a 12% reduction in property crimes. So we're trending downwards in that category, which is very positive. Our drug crimes, our simple possession charges, we've had 0. So we've had a 100% decrease for our total decrease of 50% in the month of March from year to date, with a 0% change from year to date. So we've had 3 drug crimes last year, and we've had 3 drug crimes this year, year to date. When we go to page 2 for our clearance rates, our violent crimes for 2021 for the month of March are at 100%. So we've seen a 16% increase from last year. Our property crimes are at a 33% clearance rate. We've seen an 8% increase from last year. And our drug crimes are at 0, but that's because we had none for the month of March. So overall, we've got a 50% clearance rate. And as always indicated to the board, these numbers will change because we do continue to investigate these crimes. And as we solve them, the year-to-date numbers will change. So the next 4 pages is the call for service billing summary. I'm just going to go down to page 4 on that document, which is our weighted hours. So for the month, or sorry, for year to date, we've had 310 calls for service for a total billing of 1,597.3 hours, which is very consistent with our 2020 hours. So we're almost in line with what we saw in 2020. Now, in terms of the Police Service Board report, we have no public complaints going on at the moment. We have, in terms of our intelligence-led policing crime abatement strategy, we have 6 offenders that are in the program. We've had 2 compliance checks with 0 offenses. So the offenders that have been released into the community that we're checking are compliant with their conditions. We've conducted 185.25 cruiser hours. We've conducted 6.5 foot patrol hours and 1 school patrol hour. There was a number of targeted media releases on the following. We arrested a male on an outstanding warrant, and a search located fentanyl on his person. He was charged accordingly. In terms of crime and traffic, there was 9 ride checks completed with 108 vehicles checked with 100% compliance. Something that's not on the report here that I'm just going to highlight for the community, we had a significant amount of complaints about a red vehicle with a black spoiler. For the board would be very aware of that. We did end up arresting that individual for stunt driving for committing the offense in the town of Prescott. That vehicle was impounded for 7 days. The driver was charged with stunt driving, which holds a minimum fine of $2,000. So I know that was a significant complaint to the council and to the municipality. So we did end up working on that individual. And since then, they've gotten their vehicle back. We have continued to monitor their driving behavior, and I've noticed a marked improvement in that driving behavior. But it is something we're going to continue to monitor. Safeguard Ontario, there was an unfounded break and enter where a male was intoxicated. That was related to mental health issues. We've had 4 mental health crisis response team interactions with clients, and we've made referrals to the situation table as a result. Pending any questions, that's the March report for the PSB.
Does anyone have any questions?
Just real quick comments, Stan. I wanted to thank Josh, Nancy, and the officers for that work on that one vehicle in particular. That's been an ongoing issue around town, and it was interesting that when East Region did post that with the picture of the vehicle being on the tow truck after the stunt driving charge was laid, the number of people that had noticed that vehicle and complimented the OPP as well for finally for getting this guy off the roads. No comment specifically on that, but it's good to see because certain behavior really did stand out there for some time. So hopefully that driver's learned his lesson, and we'll see safer conduct on the road there. I just wanted to thank the OPP as well for all the work on the traffic side of things. I see there's been a huge increase in recent months with regards to some of the speeding and some of the incidents we have had. Edward Street north in particular, and also the west and the east ends of King Street. It has had an impact, I think, in slowing people down that have been driving at a really excessive rate of speed in those areas at times, and just making we've got a lot of pedestrians in the street right now, people trying to just get out and stay sane during the lockdown. So it's much appreciated that's happening. I noticed a little bit of a blitz even I think again just yesterday on Edward Street in some key areas, so it's really good to see that. So I wanted to thank the OPP for their great work on all of that.
Thanks, sir. I'll make sure to pass that message along to the officers. We're definitely making a strong effort there to change driver behavior.
That's excellent. It's definitely well noted in town, and some of the careless guys and the more deliberately careless guys are really trying to seem like they're backing off this a bit. So it's definitely having an impact. Thanks so much.
Are there any other questions? I have one question. It's been brought up over a number of times regarding the mental health response. Could you just go through, do you bring people have said, oh, we should have a professional go in, but I think the response is usually if someone goes in, they always call the police anyways for backup. How do you and your officers handle this?
Yeah, so we have a partnership with Brockville General Hospital where we have a registered nurse ride along with an officer. It's called our Mobile Crisis Response Team. And we do it twofold. The officer and the nurse will respond to live calls for service. So if we get a 911 call that a person in the community is in crisis, what they'll do is that officer with the nurse will go there at that time, interact with the subject, and if they're apprehendable, we speed along the process to get them into the crisis response center at Brockville General Hospital. If they're not apprehendable under the Mental Health Act, the nurse takes the lead and gets them connected to social services to reduce their risk and prevent the ongoing calls for service. The other thing that we do is this team, we have a lot of information sharing between the registered nurse and the our police officer. So if we see that we're getting lots of, for example, neighbor disputes or other calls that could have an underlying mental health issue, in order to help reduce those calls for service and prolific calls, we proactively engage the nurse with our mobile crisis response team and go out to that residents to try to mitigate those issues. So we'll try to identify what the underlying issues are and get them connected to social services, if that is mental health services, drug and addiction services. So we really try to find what the underlying issues that are causing the increased police response to try to mitigate that and reduce our calls for service and get the person in crisis connected. So that way they can have a better quality of life as well. So we're working very strongly with Brockville General Hospital on that. And right now we have the nurse twice a week. We're hoping to expand that. I'm working with Brockville General Hospital to expand that to a full-time capacity, but it's we're taking it one step at a time.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Great.
Please. Yeah, just to expand on what Josh is talking about, the MCRT program, the Mental Crisis Response Team program that Josh has and detachment has running there within your area, is something that we're trying to expand on across the province, because we know that it's a worthwhile cause. It eventually, the goal is to reduce the amount of calls for service that involve people that are in a mental crisis, and to alleviate some of that interaction with law enforcement versus the healthcare professionals that a lot of the individuals need and a lot of the calls we go to. So like Josh says, we're trying to, like, we've even in one location embedded them within our communications center, where people are calling in that may be in mental crisis that never get dispatched to police, because the professionals within our call taking centers are able to divert some of that to professional help at that point, versus our members even having to go to the call. So I think I wish we could expand the program overnight, because it's great for our communities, it's great for our members, and it's great for the people that fall victim to mental health issues. And I look forward, like Josh says, he's working hard on getting somebody there full time. And I think it definitely is a worthwhile program that makes all of our communities better, and a more positive interaction with health and with police, if they know police are there to help. Not necessarily, we're not going to charge or handcuff our way out of some of these situations, and that's a prime one where we need health involved in. So thanks for giving me the time, sir.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions? All right. I have a recommendation that the police services report for March 2021 be accepted as presented. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Mike, seconded by Brett. All those in favor? It's carried. Let's move on to the bylaw update. Sean?
Still muted. It took a second. Sorry about that. Now I've lost my report. There it is. Okay, so basically bylaws had a lot of fun in the last month with, of course, COVID being front and center. The town of Prescott has been very fortunate in that, for the most part, we've just have been able to focus on public education versus the other issues that can come up. We haven't had any anti-masking parties or anything like that that would trigger a more forceful response. There's still some improper use of parks and open spaces. But again, for the most part, it's education and just staying on top of the people. I did want to point out that occasionally some people are like, you're not allowed to sit at the picnic tables at the chip trucks and stuff like that. I guess would be probably the finest example, or possibly some of the parks. They'll go, well, I'm outdoors, so we can have 10 or 15 or 20 of us there. We also have a slight issue with sometimes people are setting up campers or tents in the public parks. And I would ask if the OPP sees anything like that, that they would stop by, see them, let them know there is no overnight camping or setting up tents in our parks or stuff like that. And if you wouldn't mind even just sending me an email, let me know that you found one, just because it's the only way we can really tell for sure how big of a problem it's getting to be. It seems like every second, I almost want to say day, but it's probably more like every second week or so, we get something on Facebook that indicates someone set up some sort of camper or tent or massive picnic thing. Also, probably related to COVID, property standards complaints have been on the rise. And in fairness, I think there is some increase as well, especially as some people in the community don't have the normal resources that they would have to reach out to help them with maintaining or avoiding hoarding or cluttering or garbage. We had one property this past month where we took out 163 bags of garbage out of the backyard. Just too much. So when we do have the odd place where bylaw is not feeling especially comfortable, I do appreciate the OPP. We did have them attend one site with us in the past month, and I do appreciate it when someone didn't want to identify themselves. Bylaw would also like to let everyone know on this committee that we are looking at revamping the bylaws as it relates basically to property standards. It'll become a lot more, I want to use the word inclusive. And it may also include things like a vacant building registry and stuff like that. And so if anyone either on the committee or the OPP would like to make suggestions of bylaws that they think that have worked really well at other municipalities, I would appreciate hearing about them. And that's basically it for bylaw this past month. Any questions?
Any questions? No? All right. Well, thank you, Sean. Is there anything that new business? Well, let's move on to old business. And I know Mayor Todd would like to address the update on the Grenville Detachment PSB discussions. We had a meeting, a video conference with North Grenville, North Augusta, Edwardsburg Cardinal, Merrickville, and ourselves. That was what, the 26th, was it not? I think. And discussed the various options on the table. It seems that the Solicitor General has sort of stepped back a bit and loosened the criteria. And a letter was sent to the Solicitor General by the Mayor, which is rightly showed our interest and expressed our concerns. Would you like to continue on, Brett?
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Not much to really add to that. We had a really good meeting with North Grenville organized it. So a good meeting with North Grenville, Merrickville, Wolford, Augusta, ourselves, and Edwardsburg Cardinal. And I think we had a general consensus and agreement on how we would proceed. Just a few wrinkles still to be worked out. And Gary Dyke, the CAO of North Grenville, is working on a submission that'll come back to our mayors and PSB group. within, I think, early May or mid-May at the latest, and then we make the submission onto the province. So a couple of couple of concepts, but the concepts all see Prescott maintaining its own police service board. The combinations could be Edwardsburg Cardinal with Augusta and Merrickville Wolford, and North Grenville on its own, or North Grenville and Merrickville Wolford on their own, and Edwardsburg Cardinal and Augusta as the other townships on their own, with ourselves staying independent. So I think it worked out really well, and again, good agreement across the board. I think we've got a good case to be made to the province on this, based on their criteria and what they've set out for exceptions to the detachment model regarding population, different needs for service, and so forth. So I think it hope with any luck it'll work out well. But I think we'll have a united submission here that hopefully the ministry will look favorably upon. I didn't know if there's any comment from the OPP on this morning. I know that obviously the Solicitor General has been working with the police as well on this whole approach. So I didn't know if they had any new information or anything else they'd want to share this morning as well.
Yes. Anything from the OPP?
Thank you, Chair. Josh, I'll let you go first, just because it is your detachment area, and I don't want to counter anything that you say.
Thank you, sir. In terms of our response, we're really at the mercy of the Solicitor General, and yourselves. However you want to present the boards to the Solicitor General, we're more than happy to participate. In terms of the response to the community, the needs of the community are always going to be the priority. So whatever comes out, I'm happy to participate in it.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Chair, if I may.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I just want to echo what Josh says. I can't say anything better than he said there. It's I know I've been up to a few PSBs here over the last couple of weeks, and it's been the main topic of discussion, I would say, and different municipalities dealing with it different ways. But it sounds like within your area, you may have things figured out already, and we try to stay out of those. Well, we have to stay out of those discussions with all due respect, and let you make those decisions as municipal leaders and how you figure that out. So it sounds like you have things worked out better than some other areas. So I'm glad you're having those open discussions.
You're muted, Stan.
Sorry, thank you. Mike, any input?
Mike, you're muted too. There you go.
Yeah, I thought it went well last week when we met with everybody. I think maybe we were expecting something more ominous than what we experienced. I think that the mosaic that obviously we would prefer as a standalone, and I think that that was bought in by certainly the chair and some of the group. So hopefully we can see that through to fruition. It's always worked well here, and I guess it's the old adage: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I hope we can press forward with that plan. Thanks.
Yeah, Stan, I just note I had some good conversations ahead of time of that meeting with Mayor Peckford and Mayor Malenka as well. And obviously our goal is the same as the inspectors here. I mean, we all just want to make sure we serve the public the best way we can administratively, and of course support the OPP of the roads and the streets. So yeah, it was a really good discussion. We all do have we have good ties locally here in Grenville and in Leeds and Grenville. So I think it'll work out well, and we'll have a good submission. And Gary Dyke at North Grenville, the CAO, he's been working with AMO on the policing board, or the policing subcommittee that's been looking at this as well. So, and Gary's a solid guy with a lot of municipal experience. So I know he'll come back with something good for all of us here. I think that'll work. So looking forward to that in May and getting that off to the ministry.
Yep. Thank you. Anyone else? Well, thank you very much for that. We'll obviously keep everyone informed. Anything under new business? Any recommendations for the public service announcement? Are we going to continue on with what we're doing now? Lindsay or Caitlin?
Mr. Chair, I can provide a little bit of.
Yes, please.
So May for us is Sexual Assault Prevention Month, as well as Emergency Preparedness Month. So if the board was looking to do a PSA on anything, those may be good topics for the board to share.
Okay, great. Let's do that then. Thank you, Joshua. So if there's nothing else, I guess we'll move on to adjournment. And as we agreed at the last meeting, the last Thursday in May, so I have a recommendation that this meeting adjourn to Thursday, May 27th, 2021 at 8:30 a.m. Could I have a mover? And seconded, yes. All in favor, keep your hand up, Mike. And unless there's nothing else, thank you very much. It's 9:01.
Actually, Stan, I do have one real quick one. If we could ask Lindsay to maybe contact the province with another inquiry about those the two provincial appointments.
Oh, yes.
We're going to be a while with COVID and everything else. The PSB situation is not going to be resolved for a while, and we've been waiting. What is it going to be 2 years shortly since we lost Ken and Norman? So if you get an update on that, that'd be great. If that's okay with you, Stan, if we could ask Lindsay,
yeah, please,
fire another email off. And
yeah.
Yep. Through you, Mr. Chair, I'll do that today, and I'll get back to the board.
Fantastic.
Thanks a lot, Lindsay.
Is there anything else? Okay, that's it. It's 9:02. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next month. Everybody be safe, and I'm sure we'll run into each other.
Thanks, everybody.